Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy that you're here to listen to Mission Balance. Mission Balance has been really in the works for a few months now. It's like the upgrade of what I had before, which was the board theory. And I'm very excited to record this today and to bring it to you because we all have this amazing mission now in the world. I always say, in a world where fear is being spread fast, love must spread faster. And this whole mission is about you learning how to be in a place which is happier, with more love, and doing the things that you're really meant to do here. Your meaning and purpose. Yeah, your meaning and purpose in the world. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to go back forward a few years to when you were just born, and from age 0 to 7, see how you were programmed and why that is running your life right now, why you didn't know about it, and what can you do to change. And that is the main thing. I want you to learn that you can change. You can change your personality. You can change your reality if you understand how you were programmed to begin with. So without further ado, as they say, let's go into Mission Balance. So this is where everything is happening basically in your life. We have the communal garden on the left, and we have the private garden on the right. And this is everything that goes on in your life. And it's just a metaphor. Yeah, it's not really a garden. I'm going to tell you what everything is. So first of all, communal garden. That is where you live your mission. That's where you live your meaning and purpose. That is where you fall in love. That is where you feel love. That is where you feel all the good emotions, the upper emotional scale, what we call. That is where you can actually interact with other people. Okay, so everything that you really want to do with other people, like being a good partner or working with a partner, whatever it is, if it's working well, it's working because it's in the communal garden. We're going to talk about that a little more, obviously. Then we have the private garden. The private garden is basically where only you are. And all the thoughts that you have, the emotions that you have, are all in the private garden. Okay? In between them, there is a gate. And we're going to talk about a battery that needs to be charged, which is your balance battery. And when you have charge in the balance battery, you're able to open this gate and go into the communal garden. But if you do not have charge in your battery, then the gate is closed and you're stuck in a way in your private garden. Now, the private garden is a metaphor for your body. I do want to say that. There are things growing there. There is an irrigation system, which is like the blood system in our body, basically. And what it brings out to the garden is all kinds of different kinds of chemicals. All right, we're going to be talking about chemicals that are going into the body because that's what really goes into our body. Hormones and chemicals that determine how we feel, and that is very important to today's video. Okay, so let's go and see a little bit about the emotional scale. The emotional scale is divided basically to the upper emotions and the lower emotions. And what I want to say is that all of these emotions are what we're going to be talking about in the system room that we're going to go into in a minute, where the irrigation system basically is managed. So everything there is about the emotional stories. Okay, we're not talking now about motor skills. We're not talking about other things. We're talking about emotional stories. Every single thought that you have in your life that makes you feel something is in this system. Okay, so you can see the lower emotional scale. Okay, we're going to be talking about that a lot. And the upper emotional scale. The upper emotional scale will be divided into two. Half of it is in the private garden and half of it is in the communal garden, but we'll see that as we go on. I just wanted to know that right now, when we're going into the system room, which is in the private garden, it's all going to be about your emotions. It's all about what you feel. Okay, so first of all, I want to introduce you to this room. This room is where everything happens that has to do with your feelings, with your thoughts, and the ones that have the lower emotional scale and the ones that have the upper emotional scale. So let's see a little bit what we have here. First, I want to give you a general view. we have this screen. It's like a TV. This is a receiver, okay? What does a receiver do? It receives a signal from the outer world, okay? This receiver specifically sitting in your brain is receiving information from the outer world with your 5 senses. So everything you hear, see, smell, touch, and the one that I forgot, all of that information is gathered from the outer world and brought into this TV. Very important to understand that when the information is gathered from the outer world, it comes into this TV with no emotion. It literally comes in like a video that you would take on your cell phone. Okay, does a video on your cell phone have any emotion connected to it? No, the emotion is connected afterwards when you bring in your stories and start feeling something about that story. So right now, just remember that every single thing that comes into this TV is coming in without an emotion. It's just a picture or a video, just the way you would get it on your cell phone, okay? Now this TV that gets the information is connected to a big computer system. And this is where everything happens. And this is what I want you to understand mostly, because when you understand how this computer, this database was programmed, that's how you will learn you can change this program. So let's look at this for a second. What do we have here? We have 3 different computers, or we'll call it 3 different divisions of the main computer. One I'm going to be calling the sorting computer. Now the sorting computer is going to deal with everything that has to do with the lower emotional scale, okay? Everything that you feel stressed, anger, sad, everything that has to do with those emotions is being taken care of by the sorting computer, okay? On the right side, we have the balance computer. Over there, you're going to process all the stories that you feel balanced about. Now, because I talk about mission balance, we're going to be talking not about safety. We're not going to be talking about happy or sad or bad or good. We're going to be talking about being balanced, okay? Your mission is to become balanced, i.e. mission balance, right? So the balance computer has all the stories that you are balanced already with, okay? The middle computer, this is the me computer. The me computer is basically where everything that connects to your communal garden happens, meaning everything that has to do with your meaning and purpose, everything that feels, that you do, like we're photographers, then we love photographing the dogs. When we're feeling that elated feeling and amazing, we're in our me computer connected to our communal garden, because the communal garden, we said, is all about being in your meaning and purpose, and that's when you're in the me computer. Obviously, I'll be explaining this a little more as we go through this, okay? So we have those 3 partitions, we'll call it, inside the computer. Each one of these is connected to the irrigation system. So the irrigation system is what's going to send, right, all the chemicals to the garden. This is like what we send in the blood system to our body. All of that is chemicals and hormones that are sent from these computers. Now, how does the computer know how to send chemicals? That's what we're going to be talking about right now, and that is very important to understand. Right now, what I want you to think of, a baby from the age 0 to 7. From the age 0 to 7, that is the time that our system is being programmed. A toddler, a baby are all in what's called theta brainwaves, which is like hypnosis. And everything that happens in the world around them is being recorded into the system. Why is it recorded? Because there's no conscious mind. There's nobody there to say, oh, this is not true, or yeah, this is great. Oh, you shouldn't be thinking this way. There's no barrier. So whatever the baby, the kid is witnessing is now going into the system and being programmed. Let's take an example. I just want to talk about, for example, somebody learning how, a kid, a toddler, learning how to walk. What happens? Well, the kid starts trying something, right? It starts pulling itself, It starts trying to get higher, it falls, it tries again, it's, trying to crawl and maybe walk up somewhere else. It takes time. It can take a month, it can take 2 months. It takes time for a baby to learn. So what is a learning process, basically? It's repetition. Very important to remember this. First of all, it's repetition. It does something again and again and again, and it's trying to figure out something. I like imagining it like a puzzle. Like the brain is trying to put together a puzzle, all right? And it's gathering a lot of pieces of different information and putting it together. Now, what happens when you're learning how to walk in the brain? The brain is using a lot of power, right? Let's call it like RAM. If you know what RAM does in the computer, your brain is using a lot of RAM to figure out and to calculate and to put all this story together. But then a month or 2 or 3 later, when the kid learns how to walk, does he need to think about walking anymore? Do you need to think about walking? When you start walking, are you thinking that you might fall, that you need to pull yourself? You don't have to do all of that anymore. Why? Because the repetition and the putting together of the story became a full story for the brain. And what it did, it took it and it put it now in your subconscious, and now it's running on autopilot. You don't have to think anymore. Now, this is just to show you how a story is built in the brain and how it becomes autopilot and it goes into your system. Now, this was when you were maybe 1 year old, right? Do you remember how you learned how to walk? No, we don't. Why? Because we were in hypnosis. Okay, from 0 to 7, we are in hypnosis brainwaves, and there's no conscious mind. So everything that comes in is recorded, goes into our subconscious, becomes our autopilot. We don't even remember how it got there. Okay? Now, this is very important to understand in order for you to be able to understand how the other stories, the emotional stories, basically went through exactly the same process. So let's go in and look a little bit into an emotional story and see how that was built, just like we built the walking into our autopilot. Okay? I want you to look at the TV now, see the screen. Okay, we said that the information that comes into this screen is basically a video that's being caught by our 5 senses, right? So it's being caught by our eyes, by our ears, by smell, by our taste, by our touch. Let's take, for example, a house that is not working very well as far as the parents being fighting all the time, okay? The parents are fighting, the kid is there, and he's watching what's going on. So the first thing we said about learning how to walk is repetition and putting together a story, right? So this is what your brain is doing between 0 to 7 with these stories as well. And it's creating autopilot stories that you're going to live on for the rest of your life, unless, obviously, you watch this video and you learn how to change that. But basically what's happening is the baby is now looking at his world. It's usually the parents, okay, because they are the caretakers. Everything that the baby is learning from his caretakers. So if the parents are fighting now, they're probably fighting again and again and again and again, right? That's the repetition. So something is happening again and again and again. And that information is coming into the sorting computer. Now, I want to focus for a second on what happens in the sorting computer, so it will help us understand how this whole story, becomes our autopilot. So a story comes into the sorting computer, and what it does, as I said, there's no emotion with the story, okay? The video itself is coming in. There's no emotion connected to it yet. But what happens when you're a baby and you start seeing these things, there's a system inside us that we're born with that knows how to see certain things as, be careful, you might become unbalanced, you might become unsafe. These things are very basic information that the brain knows already before you're born. You get it with your DNA. For example, if you see a frown face, okay, then that already tells the body, the brain, that you might be in a imbalanced situation. So if a kid is watching the parents and they're yelling and screaming at each other and he sees the frown face, the brain is a scanner. It just scans everything that's outside and it brings the information into the sorting computer. And over there, it tries to connect it with something that it knows. It's trying to help you. It's trying to keep you balanced. It's trying to keep you safe as well. Okay. If there's a lion coming outside, you definitely want the system to know, oh, a lion is dangerous for you. You need to run. Okay. So that is keeping safe, keeping your body safe from dying. But there's also keeping your body balanced emotionally. So the frown face, there's scans, right? I'm a 2-year-old baby now. My eyes are scanning everything. I'm seeing my parents fighting. I see a frown face. I might see my mother crying or my father crying. I see a lot of things that come back into the sorting computer and are connected with, I might be in an imbalanced situation. Now, if I'm in an imbalanced situation, I have to do everything in my power to get back to balance. How do we get back to balance when we're 2 years old? Well, usually, right, the baby will start crying. The mom is yelling and screaming. The dad is yelling and screaming. The mom is crying. What does the baby do to try to get balance back? Cries. That is a system which is embedded in us from the time that we were born. If the baby starts crying, what does it want? It wants to get back to balance. Who can balance this baby? Only the parents. The baby can't balance itself, okay? It doesn't know anything yet, but it knows that a frown face and a crying face and yelling and screaming, loud noises, for example, that's another thing, or the parents being far away, I have no connection to my parents. All of those things make me feel as a baby that I'm imbalanced. So I start crying. What do I want? I want my parents to come and hold me, because connection, feeling that, connection to our parents, that is what balances us. We want to hear comforting words and soft voices, not loud voices, because that will tell us as well that we are back to balance. Okay, we want to see people smiling. Okay, even if we're doing it on purpose when we're not feeling great as parents, So we feel connected, we feel the soft voice, we see a smile. Okay, we're back to balance, everything's okay. You might have seen sometimes the parents that do this even as a game. They like look at their baby and they make believe that they're crying. They go, ooh, and suddenly you see the baby starts crying. Or the parents are going, ha, 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 and they're very happy. You'll see the baby suddenly smiling and being very happy. Again, there is a system inside the baby that knows that a frown face, it means imbalance. That's why it will automatically try to cry in order to get the balance back from the parents. And a smiling face is already balanced and you feel good, everything's okay. Now that we understand a little bit how it's working inside the computer, what does the computer do now in order, how does it go from, let's say, the information is coming into the sorting computer and the baby is crying. Now, something needs to make the baby cry. So let's look at that for a second. How does that happen? And believe me, all this information is very relevant for you to understand afterwards how you can change your life, how you can change your reality. I know it's going to be a bit long. I know it's going to be a little bit into details that have to do with neuroscience and biology and stuff like that. But I promise you, every single information here is important for your understanding afterwards. So just stick with me for another, I don't know, half an hour or so before we reveal the big change. Okay, so the sorting computer got the video, right? Parents are fighting, video, no emotion, connects into the computer. The computer goes to the basic information when you're a young baby. It goes to your basic information that comes with your DNA, basically, that says, okay, I feel imbalance. Now, what the computer basically needs to do now, it needs to send out through the irrigation system certain kinds of chemicals that will create a certain kind of to-do list, okay? So from the computer, there are two things sent together. One is the chemistry that's going to go out. And on the chemistry, there's also floating a to-do list. Let's call it that way. So as a baby at this situation, what's going to happen? It saw the parents fighting. It comes into the sorting computer. It sees that you're imbalanced. So it wants to say, I need to get balance back as fast as possible. What do I need to do? Oh, I need to make the baby cry, because when the baby cries, maybe the parent will come back, okay? So the computer is sending now chemistry that goes into the body of the baby that will make the baby feel that stress, feel that maybe scared. And when those feelings come into the body, that's when it makes the baby cry. Okay, that is the to-do list that goes out with the chemistry through the irrigation system. Now let's remember, the irrigation system is your blood. The private garden is your body. This is what happens to us in our body, okay? A thought comes in, we see something happening, a thought comes in, it goes into the sorting computer, it matches up. If it finds something to match up with, which is an imbalanced thought, a lower emotional scale thought, sends out the chemistry to our body, then we feel stress, then we feel anger, then we feel sad. The feeling is the chemistry that's going into your body. But what you don't know maybe is that with that, the body is getting also a to-do list. And that to-do list is stuff that you've done in the past that brought you back to balance, okay? I want to stop here for a second, and I want to take you into the situation of a lion, because that will be an easy way to explain this and show it to you a little more visually. All right. Woo, survival mode. Okay, so now we're going to be talking a little bit about the same situation that we were talking about in our sorting computer. Just see how it works in the survival mode of really having a lion in front of us. So like, oh, this side. Whoa.
Yeah, we can
survival
see.
mode. Yay. Okay. Oops. I got my microphone. I got too excited.
Nothing wrong with a bit of excitement.
Okay. All right. So this is how the brain works in survival mode. For example, you're walking and you're photographing in the woods, and suddenly you see a lion. So what happens? We said the lion itself, the picture of the lion is just a video that's going into our TV screen with no emotion yet. But what happens is it then goes into the sorting computer. And in the sorting computer, it's looking for a match. It's looking to see if it has any information about this scanned face and body that might mean that we are not going to be in balance, or that we're not going to be safe. And when it comes to body safety, I do still use the word safe. So we're checking if we're going to be safe. Okay, so the picture is going now into the sorting computer, and it's looking for information. So what's the information going to be? Maybe your parents taught you that a lion is dangerous. Maybe you saw videos on National Geographic about lions eating other animals. Whatever it is, you have information already in your sorting computer that says you are not safe if you see this face, okay? So then what happens in our body? What happens is the brain brings up a prediction that says something about the future. And this is very important to understand, because we're going to be talking about this soon again. It's saying, I might die. How do I know that? Because that's the information that I have gathered in the sorting computer. This is what I was taught. Okay, this is the information that I gathered in my life. And I know that this face of this lion means for my future that I might die. Now, when you bring the prediction of the future, that's when everything starts happening with the chemicals in your body. So I'm just going to say this again because it's very important for the understanding afterwards of everything else. I'm going to say it again. a video comes in from the five senses, right? We said we have a TV that has our five senses connected to it. It brings in information from the world. The information that's gathered into the world comes into the TV without no emotion. Then that picture goes into the sorting computer. The sorting computer is the database that the brain goes to first to check if you're safe, to check if you might be in balance because of this situation, okay? So when it goes in with a face of a lion and you're 25 or 30 years old, it has all the information that this might be dangerous to you. And what the brain does is it takes the information from the sorting computer. It makes a future prediction. Again, very, very important for what we're learning today. It makes a future prediction that you might die. And then everything happens. What happens? Bam, all of the adrenaline, all the chemicals are coming into the body now, rushing. Why? Because this matters. Why does it matter? This is your meaning now, to save your life. My life matters. And that's all the chemicals that are going now into the body. And we said when the chemicals go into the body, what's riding it? Also a to-do list, okay? But let's see what else happens. So first of all the adrenaline, okay? When the adrenaline comes out, remember also it's taking the blood now away from other systems that are being considered irrelevant right now for saving your life. So the digestive system, okay? When you're in stress, it takes away the blood from the digestive system. So we had the adrenaline. The adrenaline is coming in and it's making you all hyper. You feel the heart rate, racing. You feel the body, the blood rushing, to the places where you're going to be needing it. And what the brain does now, it focuses on saving your life. It can't do anything else. It's shutting down everything else. It's focusing on this thing that is going to make you die. Now, what happens when you focus and when all the blood is taken? It's shutting down, as I said, other systems. So there are other systems in the body that are shutting down, like your digestive system and others. But what else is happening? It's shutting down any ability to be creative, any ability to do something which is not in the private garden. Everything that happens in the communal garden cannot happen. It's shutting down the pathway to what we call the frontal cortex. That's where you can fall in love. That's where you can create new things. That's where you learn new things. When you're in stress, when there's a lion coming to eat you up, that's not a time to waste energy on going to learn something, right? That's not the time that you're going to say, oh, life is great. I am going to go create and paint and go photograph or whatever. That's not the time. This is the time to be focused on saving your life. So that's what the brain is doing. It's shutting everything else down. It's having you focus on that very specific thing that's going to kill you, all right, in this situation, the lion. And it's sending you also a to-do list, as I say. So it's sending all the chemicals into the body and telling the body, giving the instructions, okay, pick up your legs, start running, go climb on a tree, yell and scream, lie down, be quiet, whatever it is that you were taught in the past that you need to do in order to get away from a lion, that's what you're going to be doing now. And how do you know to do it? Because when you go into the sorting computer, what comes out of there are the chemicals that are going to make you feel something, that are going to make you do something with an exact instruction from what you learned in the past on what to do in order to save yourself in this moment. So the information of run or walk up on a tree or whatever, that's stuff you were taught in the past. And that's what's going to come out now at this stressful moment. And that's what you're going to be doing. And then what happens? Oh my God, I saved my, oh, sorry, on the microphone. I saved myself. Whew. That brings what's called a spike of dopamine. Okay? Whew, I feel good. But we have to have a very, very good understanding that this feel good is a feel good of saving yourself from something that was dangerous. It was saving yourself from something that was stressing you. This is not real I'm feeling good. Okay? This is just a spike of dopamine. The problem is, and we're not going to get into it too much, but the problem is that in the modern world, we are basically addicted to this spike of dopamine. This is what we think is us feeling good, and you'll understand that soon when we talk a little bit more about it. So the dopamine spike is we're safe for now until the next crisis, right? Now, in the modern world, they say that we have 95% of the day we are dealing with stuff which stresses us, which makes us feel, in the lower emotional scale, let's say all those emotions. That means that this system is running again and again and again and again, and it's running overtime. And all these chemicals are going too much into our body that at the end they're even hurting our body, and we can talk about that a little later. So this is, first of all, just to understand how it works in the brain again, how it works with a lion, and now we can go back to the dysfunctional family and to the functional family and see how it works with our emotional stories. So here we are again, and we're back into our system room in the private garden. And back to the dysfunctional family. So let's see what's happening right now. Again, we're going back to age 0 to 7. At this point, we're just recording information into our body. Okay, so what are we recording? What's the information that's being built inside our body? So first we have a dysfunctional family that we were talking about before, yelling, screaming, crying, whatever it is. It goes into the sorting computer. It looks to match up to see if there's any reason that this situation that just came in as a video or as a picture from the outer world, is there any reason to suspect that this might be something that will be a imbalance for us, or it's going to be unsafe for us, okay? Unsafe is to the physical body, that we might die. And for me right now in this talk, we're talking about imbalance, any emotional imbalance. So anything that has to do with emotions in the lower emotional scale. Okay, so the parents are fighting, the mom is crying, the dad is crying, whatever it is, then that comes into the computer. It looks for a match. It finds a match that it is a imbalance. That means we need to get balance back as fast as possible. What does it do? What does the computer do? It sends out the chemicals. There's a different recipe of chemicals that goes out depending on the strength also of the situation. So obviously, if there's just a little bit of yelling, or if a kid has been beaten up, unfortunately, for many years, then obviously that's going to be much stronger. But the computer knows the exact recipe of chemicals to send out to the irrigation system, and it knows to send a to-do list in order for you to be able to balance yourself out. As we said, as kids, it can be different things. If the kid is growing up a little bit now, so at first, when they were a year old, they would just cry because they would hear, the loud noise. They would see the frown face. Mom was far away. Dad was far away. There was nobody there to give us the balance. We cried. But as the kid grows up, and this repetition, it goes on again and again and again. Remember, like with the kid learning how to walk, this is a story that's being built. This is a puzzle that the brain is building now of a story. So it happens again and again and again. And now the brain is like giving you more things to do in order to save yourself, in order to bring a sense of balance, even though there's no balance in this situation. So what does a kid do? For example, he starts running to his room, right? He doesn't want to hear it. He might put the pillow over his head. He might put fingers in his ears and not want to hear what's going on. But it's like a to-do list of different things that are giving you the dopamine spike. They're giving you a sense of relief, but it's not permanent relief. It's not balance. It's just relief from running away from that situation. Just like we had with the lion, you're just running away from the situation, and you get that spike of dopamine, because now when you don't hear them yelling and you don't hear mother crying and you don't see it, the body is able to breathe a little bit and say, okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. They're fighting, whatever, but I'm okay. So that's what happens in a story like that. But what happens, but there we go. What happens when we have a different kind of story? The same thing happens, but in the balance computer. So the story comes in, the video is coming in from the outer world. We see our parents happy and they're loving and they hug each other and they kiss each other and they're always with us as a kid and they're hugging us and they're saying good things to us and they have a very calm demeanor and they're really nice people. We all have our times, obviously, but that is the dominant part. We said it's repetition. So you could have some moments, obviously, that these parents are going through the sorting computer, but mostly, let's say, they are a very loving couple, and they will be coming up basically on the balance computer with their story, okay? So the balance computer is where we have the balanced stories. So the same thing happens. The story comes in. It first will always go to the sorting computer. Why? Because the sorting computer goes through everything, because its job is to figure out whether there's any chance that what's going on right now that you're bringing in might be unsafe or might be an imbalanced situation for us. So this story is going to go through the sorting computer and say, everything's okay. It has nothing to do with the sorting computer. Continue. It goes to the me computer. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And if it doesn't find a match there, it goes to the balance computer. It finds the match there. Once it sees it's a balanced story, what happens is the chemistry that goes through, the recipe of chemistry that goes through is of the chemicals that make you feel good. Okay? So that's why, when your parents are hugging you, you feel balanced, you feel good, you feel happy, you feel grounded, all of those feelings, the upper emotional scale, that's what you feel when you're in a balanced story. Okay? So those are the two sides. And another thing that I want to say about it, they mirror each other. Okay? Every single story that you have in the sorting computer, you have also in the balance computer. This is important also for how we're going to learn afterwards how to change what we have in our sorting computer. But basically, think about it. If there's a story now that says, I'm not loved in the sorting computer, there's the same story, the opposite in a way of it. It's not the opposite, it's the balance story of it. I am loved, okay? It lives in the balance computer. Everything is mirrored, everything is in both computers. It's important to remember that as well. Okay, so the me computer. What is the me computer? The me computer is where we live our meaning and purpose. Our me computer is where we live in love. Our meaning computer is where we are in love afterwards when we grow up, obviously. Most regular love, I would say, is in the balance computer, with parents and everything. That is the balance that we need to just be in a place of people loving us. But being in love is something different. That is in the me computer, and we're going to talk about that a little more. So what is your meaning and purpose? Your meaning and purpose for everybody in the world, there is the same meaning and purpose that comes out just in different ways. The meaning and purpose is, and this is my mantra, as some of you already know, my mantra is, I come from love, or I am love. I'm here to serve and inspire. Why? Because every single thing that has to do with your meaning and purpose has to do with you being in a place of love, whether it's loving yourself, whether it's love in general. You want to be in a place that you look at the world out of glasses of love, and you're serving and inspiring other people. So if you want to know if what you're doing is something that is out of your meaning and purpose, all you have to ask yourself, am I serving and inspiring even one human being in this world? So for example, me as a pet photographer, if I'm photographing a dog right now and creating beautiful art for this client, I am serving and inspiring this one person. They're going to have beautiful art in their home. They're going to be happy. The dog is going to pass away one day, and this is going to be something that will keep inspiring that love in their heart. And that is how you know that what you're doing is coming from meaning and purpose, and obviously you loving to do it. How do we know that we love to do it? How do we know we're working in the communal garden right now? Because what happens when you're working in your Me computer is exactly the opposite of what happens when you're in survival mode. We said in survival mode, what happens? Everything else shuts down, including the Me computer. You cannot create anything when you're in survival mode. But if you're working now in your communal garden through your Me computer, what happens is shuts down survival mode. It shuts down all of those thoughts that keep us feeling bad. So, you know, if you're doing something like when I was photographing a dog or photographing a horse here on the coast of Oregon, I know when I'm there, nothing else in the world matters. I don't care about anything else. I'm just so happy to be. I'm so happy to be at that moment. I feel amazing. That is the upper part of the upper emotional scale. The passion, the joy. That is when we know we are in our communal garden. We are working in our Me computer. Okay? So since we're talking about 0 to 7 right now, that's the years that I'm talking about right now. So let's think about a kid when they're 2, 3, 4. How do we know if we're in the Me computer? Well, it starts on the little things that we do as kids that we love doing as kids. For every kid, it's something different. It could be, oh, I love drawing. And the kid can sit for hours and draw, and he doesn't know about anything else that's happening in the world. And that is something that they love to do. Maybe they'll turn out to be a painter, but maybe they'll be some kind of different kind of artist afterwards. But they love doing that from the beginning. We're born with our meaning and purpose in a way. There is something there that we are very good at. Every single person in this world has something that they love doing, okay? And that is how we start growing our meaning and purpose inside the Me computer. Maybe you like putting together cars as a kid, right? Maybe you like dressing dolls and you have a very high sense of design. Whatever it is, there is something there that is growing. And how does it grow? From a place of curiosity. Kids are curious, and that's how they grow what they love. One of the things that happens with grown-ups telling kids not to do something that they love, or afterwards even in the school system when we're told to do certain things that we don't love, we're kind of ruining that basic place that a kid has its own curiosity, it has its meaning and purpose, it has its way to figure out what it is that they love to do. And it's very important that we continue letting kids do that as much as possible. Okay, so that takes me to here where we can actually see there is me photographing a dog. That goes into the Me computer, right? The video itself of me seeing a dog and me being with the camera in my hand, that is just a video coming into my system, right? Into the TV without any emotion in it. And then it goes to the sorting computer. It looks to see if I'm imbalanced. There's no story that connects to imbalance with this picture. So the picture continues to the Me computer. And there it sees that I have been photographing dogs in the past, and it makes me happy and it makes me love everything that I do. It belongs in the communal garden. And then it sends me straight into the communal garden. I'm out of the private garden totally. I'm doing what I love. I'm enjoying it. Everything is great. Perfect. Now let's add one more thing. Let's add the battery of balance, okay? The battery of balance is going to be the battery that allows you to go between the garden, the private one, and the communal garden. And you have to have it charged in order to be able to get through between the two gardens. So when do you charge that battery? Well, when you're in the balance computer, the moment the chemistry starts going out from the balance computer, you're also charging your balance battery, okay? When you're working in your communal garden, you could be also charging your battery, but you're also using, in a way, some of the charge because now the gate is open and you need charge in order to keep the gate open. It could definitely happen that you're in the communal garden and you get out of charge in your battery and you're going to be thrown back to your private garden and you can't continue in the communal garden. For example, I could give you something that happened to me. I was learning and learning to put together this system, and this is neuroscience and biology and epigenetics and quantum physics, everything. And I was doing this for like 12 hours a day. Now, in order to learn, you can only really learn something new in your communal garden. If it's something that you love learning, obviously, you're going to be in the communal garden. And if you're not charging your battery of balance, then the charge is going to go down and down. And then after a certain amount of time, suddenly you're reading the same sentence 10 times and it doesn't go through in the brain. You can't understand anymore what's going on. Then you know you were kicked out of the communal garden because you have no charge anymore. Go rest, go sleep, go take a walk, whatever it is that you do to charge your battery. And we're going to talk about that soon. That is something that can happen. That's why it's very important to keep the charge in our battery of balance always going. Okay, and we're going to get to that in a minute. Okay, so this was 0 to 7, more or less. So what we can see is that the system for 7 years is building a database. This database is all built on our parents, okay? Every single thing that is learned that becomes a story in our sorting computer and in our balance computer is something that is recorded. We're in hypnosis. It's recorded into our system so that when we get to the age of 7, basically we have a program that's already a database that's already created for us when conscious mind comes into the game. Basically, life starts at the age of 7. Why? Because at the age of 7, that's when the conscious mind comes in, and that's when you can actually start being in control of your life. So now I want to go into age 7 so that we can understand a little more about what happens when we get to the age of 7. Something very interesting is added at the age of 7. At the age of 7, what happens is that conscious mind comes in and there is something added to the system. First of all, we get a prediction screen, which is in between the 3 computers that we had before and the irrigation system. So there is something here that's going to do something new because of conscious mind. The second thing that we have, and this is for our talk, very important as well, we get Willow. Now you can call your Willow whatever you want. My students know they call Willow different names that are helpful for them. Basically, Willow is that voice in your head that's going to tell you all kinds of different things, and you want to be able to separate the voices from who you are and be able to talk to Willow in a way. So we're getting a Willow, and Willow is going to be the one that's going to be in charge of this whole system now. And it's her job to make sure that you are safe and that you are balanced. Okay? That is what we know about Willow. This is what sometimes you will call ego or whatever it is. It's there in order to save you, to take care of you, to make sure that nothing happens to you. And it needs to work very, very quickly, as fast as possible, because if you start being in a place of imbalance or unsafe, you could die, right? If it's a lion, if it's not safe enough, if you're not running fast enough, you're going to die. Or if there's something else happening, you might get to an imbalance and you're going to feel worse and worse and worse. And Willow can't have that. She needs you to to the dopamine spike. She needs you to feel relief as fast as possible, and that's her job. Okay? So let's look at this situation now again, and let's say, okay, we had the whole video come in, it goes into the sorting computer, it gets the information from the first 7 years. That's the database now, right? It's going into those 7 years, which we were programmed through our parents, what was happening with them. So if it's a dysfunctional family, then we're continuing that story in a way, okay? And it's coming in, and what it's doing now, it takes the recipe of chemicals and it takes the to-do list. But the first thing that it will do is give you a prediction of the future. Why? Because when you become 7, when conscious mind comes in, that is the time where you can start understanding future and past. When you're 0 to 7, you don't understand time, okay? So now that you start understanding what the past is and what the future is, the brain can use that. And what does the brain do? As I told you in the part of the lion of survival mode, the brain goes in, it sees that this can be something unsafe or an imbalance. And what it does, it starts yelling and screaming. Willow is coming. She's putting in this prediction. You might die. That's if a lion is coming. That's the prediction of the future. And why are we giving a prediction of the future that's so bad, which is worst case scenario? Because Willow, as far as she's concerned, the more she becomes dramatic, the more you're going to do something faster to bring yourself back to balance, to bring yourself back to safety. So she needs to give you worst case scenario. How does she know worst case scenario? Well, she goes back to the sorting computer. She sees what happened there. Okay, so the parents are fighting everything. You're going through it. You're feeling bad. It happens again and again and again, repetition. When you get to ages 5, 6, you start telling yourself, I am not loved. I am not good enough. I cannot change this situation. That is a feeling that you got after the repetition that came again and again and again and again in this situation. So once conscious mind comes in, what's the prediction that it's going to put in the screen? It's going to take that worst case scenario that you felt, that you already felt in the past. So the feeling that you had of, I'm not good enough, I am not loved, that is what Willow is going to take now, because it's already connected into that story. She's going to make that the prediction of your future, saying, no one will love you. No one will value you. And why is she doing it? Because she needs to get you fast back into balance. So what are you going to do? You're going to have a list, right? You have a to-do list. What are you going to do? Well, whatever you need to do to get that dopamine spike, to get that relief. So if you're a couple, for example, and you came from a house that your parents were fighting, right? And you used to go to the room, you used to cover your ears, you used to put the pillow over your head. If there's a fight now when you're a couple, what are you immediately going to do without knowing why? Because this is already your autopilot. You think you're picking what to do, but you're not picking anything. Your brain is sending the chemistry. Somebody started yelling. It takes you directly back to that horrible situation that you had with your parents, and you felt that you're not loved. And what you had to do, you had to run away in order to feel better. So when you're 25 or 30, you're getting the chemical rush of really feeling angry or anxious or whatever it is, but you're also getting a to-do list. And that to-do list maybe change a little bit when you grow. So maybe you're not going to do that, but you definitely might walk out of the house not to hear it. You definitely might go into a room and shut the door and turn on the TV so you don't hear anything. So you need to understand that your behavior, your personality is all programmed from the age 0 to 7, and you continue that programming as you grow up if you don't know better, okay? And those stories are running you on autopilot without you being conscious that that's what's happening. What I want you to see here is that what I came to, and this is how I see it, the predictions of the future that Willow is using at the end comes down to 5 predictions all the time. Every single time that you feel stress, anger, sad, it's one of these predictions that is predominant. It could be a few together, but there's always one which is stronger, but it's always 100% at the end. It comes down to one of these. Now, I call this scarred, okay? So when I in the future talk about scarred, you're kind of scarred, right, on your body, really, because all these things kind of scarred you. So that's a way to remember it. And what's in it? Survival. So survival is just, I'm in danger, I'm going to die, okay? And that's when it's a lion, when there's a snake, when there's, I don't know, when there's a fire, you know, different things that can really hurt your body and you can die from it. The other 4 are the emotional ones, and this is loss of control. I can't stop this, meaning I lost the ability, the agency, as they say. I can't control a situation, and that makes you feel bad. Abandonment, okay, I'm alone, I feel alone. Rejection, I'm not loved, I don't belong. And deprivation, I won't get what I need. So, for example, lack of money goes under deprivation. I won't get what I need. If you were bullied, you know, it could be I'm not loved, I don't belong, but it could also be I am alone. Or also I can't stop this. I have no agency. So like when we get trauma, it's usually when a few of these are strong together. And when it's just being stressed and upset in the regular way, let's call it, then it's probably one of these are more dominant. So I just want you to understand that your whole life is basically being ruled by these 4 predictions that Willow is bringing you about your future. It's always worst case scenario. But the good thing that I want to tell you is that it's always wrong. Okay? Why is it always wrong? Let's talk about why is it always wrong for a second. So why is this always wrong? I want you to look at this again for a second. Let's say now you're fighting with your spouse. It comes in to the sorting computer. It looks for a match. The match is my parents were fighting, right? We said all of that situation. I get a chemistry. I get a to-do list. And there's a prediction that comes up on the screen. What's the prediction? In this situation, probably I'm not loved, okay? Or I might be alone. That's the prediction that will come up. And that is a worst case scenario that Willow is bringing you now in this envelope. And she's saying, worst case scenario, you're going to be alone. You're always going to be alone. You're never going to be loved. Okay? Willow is taking what you felt and she's predicting a worst case scenario future for you in order for you to bring back the balance as fast as possible. Because the worse you feel, the faster you're going to act to come out of it, right? When we feel stressed, we just want not to feel that anymore. Why? Because we need to go back to balance. Our body always wants to go back to balance. It always strives to be in balance. From the day you were born till the day you will die, all your body wants is to be in balance. So when conscious mind comes in and there are so strong emotions in the sorting computer, the prediction of the future is going to be worst case scenario in order for you to feel really bad so that you do something really fast. And what are you going to do? The to-do list. You're going to run away. You're going to close the door. You're going to run into the room. You're going to put on strong music. You're going to yell and scream because you don't want to hear somebody else. So now that sounds very depressing. And if our life is just running after these worst case scenario predictions, is that really what we're meant to do here? I mean, after the age of 7, we get this map that was already embedded in our system. This is our now database. Willow goes to this database all the time. So are we doomed? Are these the cards we were dealt? You know, how many people say these were the cards we were dealt? I can't change this. I can't do anything. This is my reality. Now, what is a reality? It's your personality. It comes from your personality. What's your personality? It's just your personal reality. So you might say, this is my personality. I can't change it. But what is really your personality? It's your parents' personality. It's your parents' life. It's whatever was programmed into the sorting computer became your personality. That's who you are now. That's your reality. You're living off of all of this database that you recorded into your system from the age 0 to 7, and then you continued living it. So then come up the questions. Is this what life is all about? Why is life so bad? Why am I suffering so much? There's so many questions. Why do I feel all the stress? Why am I angry all the time? People suddenly say, you know what? Maybe there's a different way. Maybe I can change it. And this is where I want to come and offer a different way of thinking about Willow and about the prediction screen, which is how we look at ego mainly, you know, nowadays. Ego is bad. You got to kill ego. Ego, you know, it's not good for you. I want to show you that we might have misunderstood what Willow is doing. Okay, drum roll. What if we misunderstood what Willow is doing? What if she is not creating the problem of stress and fear? What if she is really our guide to something new? Now, I want to take you to I assume most of you know what an escape room is, right? So let's think about an escape room for a second. When we go to an escape room, we have instructions that we know ahead of time. What are the instructions? You have to find clues in order to get out of the escape room. That's the whole idea, escape the room, right? Now, what if our life is exactly the same way? What if we're living in an escape room, but nobody told us the rules? Nobody told us that the private garden is supposed to be only a place where we need to get out of. We need to learn things through our private garden, and then we have to get out of it. We have to find clues in our private garden, in our sorting computer, in order to be able to get out of this place. This is not the cards you were dealt. This is not the life you're meant to live. This is not your reality. This is just the beginning point that you were supposed to start with in order to learn certain things and change your life and become who you really are. And this always reminds me also of the butterfly. We have the caterpillar, right? The caterpillar starts as a caterpillar and then it goes into the cocoon. And in the cocoon, what happens? It needs to turn into a mush. They say like a soup of DNA. That's what happens to the caterpillar. And then it can change into a different DNA, same DNA, different structure, and it builds the butterfly, and then the butterfly can leave the cocoon and go wherever they want and live their potential. Now, what I'm saying is we all have the potential to be a butterfly. We live as a caterpillar not knowing that there's a cocoon. But once you become aware of it, then you have a choice in life. And that's where everything changes. You as a human being do not go through that automatically. You as a human being need to make the choice that you want to walk into the cocoon of change. And you have to understand that in order to really change and become the potential of the butterfly that you really are, you're going to need to melt that personality that you had and create a new personality in order for you to become that butterfly, which is your potential. How does that all have to do with what we're talking about today? Well, what if Willow is really the entrance to that cocoon? What do I mean? What if Willow, when she brings you the prediction, it's not about, oh my God, this is so bad. You have to go and run and put your fingers in your ears and put the pillow over your head and everything. Willow came in when you became conscious. So to me, Willow is not there to make you feel bad. She's reactive. She's very fast. She needs things to happen fast. But her job is to bring you into the cocoon of change. Her job is to show you in your face what is the worst case scenario in order for you to know what you need to change, what you need to actually balance. So when she comes and said, you're going to be alone, she doesn't mean you're going to be alone now, run away and go do all kinds of things in your private garden just to get yourself quickly out of just feeling bad, that dopamine spike. That's not what she's meaning to do. But we misunderstood her. And now I'm saying what she's trying to tell you when she says you're going to be alone, what she's saying is, here is your thing to learn in life. You need to learn to understand that you're never going to be alone. And you need to change that story that was planted inside of you to a new story. And that way you can create your butterfly. So basically, the whole program that was created from 0 to 7 was just a type of map that was there to teach you what you need to change. And through that growth, you're going to get to a better place to know also your meaning and purpose and do things from love and be in the communal garden more often. Okay? So the to-do list is basically Willow saying, okay, you're going to be alone forever. That's the prediction. So you need to change the prediction. And the to-do list that she's showing you, she's basically telling you, please don't do this again. Don't do this again. This is not what you're meant to do. And that is the clue that Willow is bringing you into your escape room. She's just a clue barrier. You just need to understand that she's not telling you stay in this room and feel bad. She's telling you you're supposed to come out. You're supposed to become your butterfly. Here is how you change your structure in order for you to become the potential that you're supposed to be, your butterfly. Now that is all I want you to understand from all of this, that you are here to go through a journey and change whatever it is that was programmed from you. It was meant for you. Nothing happens for no reason. So even those things that were programmed from 0 to 7, think of it like a programmer of a computer game programmed something very specific for you in order for you to be able to learn how to get to your potential. Now, most people end up living in that escape room, living in thinking that Willow is saying, things are going to be horrible. Now do. And they keep doing and reliving their past again and again and again. Now, that's not what she is trying to tell you. She doesn't want you to relive the past. She wants you to create a new future for yourself. So she's just showing you, she's saying, look, this is what you used to do. I don't want you to do this. I want you to figure out a new to-do list. It's going to be something that is from a place of balance, from a place of feeling good. Okay. So now that we drum rolled all this change of how Willow is working, so I want to take you back here for a second and just remind you what we were talking about. So we have the story coming in, it goes into the sorting computer, it connects to a past story, right? So we're really living our past. It brings a prediction of the future, and that prediction is a worst case scenario prediction of what your life is going to look like because of what's happening now. You're not going to be loved. You're not going to be, you're going to be alone. The scared, the 5 things that I had as predictions, right? And then we have the irrigation system that sends the chemicals into the body, into the private garden. And that's where you start feeling. The feeling comes when the chemicals go into the body, and then those chemicals in the body also tell you what to do physically, the to-do list. Okay? So now let's look at this again from the new perspective. And what we're saying basically is that Willow is bringing us a clue. So if she's bringing us a clue, the prediction screen was just meant to be a clue. So what can you do in order to change that feeling that you're going to be feeling from that prediction? So the first thing, if you think about it, is when there's an event happening, you actually need to balance it when it's happening. Okay, so we're going to be talking now about 3 different situations, how you can charge your battery of balance, how you can change the story, how you can build your new story just the way you build stories in the past. How did you build them? Repetition, again and again and again, right? The same story. That's how you grew the story in the sorting computer. Now you have to grow it in the balance computer. And that is how you grow. That's how you learn. This is your clues to get out of the sorting computer, okay? To get out of the private garden. So the prediction screen is bringing you what you need to learn. So when something happens, you're fighting with your spouse, you're feeling now, I'm going to be alone. You're feeling all that stress now in the body. This is the first place where you can stop everything and use your conscious mind. Because if you just let the sorting computer go on and do everything automatically, conscious mind is not there. Conscious mind is asleep. What you need to do is you have to bring your conscious mind into the situations now of your life and start doing things consciously and build your future, build your life with your conscious. How do we do that? There are 3 ways in the private garden, in this system room, and there's 1 way in the communal garden, and this is what I want to talk about right now. And with that, we're going to end this, and I'm going to give you the tools, basically, how you can change, and I'm going to be doing many more videos, basically, after this one, to give you the tools and help you with the time that you're going to be going into your cocoon and help you become the butterfly. So number 1, this is I call this catch of the day. Catch of the day is the prediction screen. When a prediction comes up and you start feeling bad in your body, you do not know that the prediction is there. You right now only feel the stress in your body. Okay? So when you start feeling stress, when you start feeling anger, when you start feeling sad, stop everything. Now, this is crucial. This is not, oh, I remember Gabby said this and maybe I can think this. No, you need to stop everything because you are not used to doing this on your own. So right now, you're going to have to be very conscious, just like the baby learning how to walk. You need all the RAM of your brain now to be here to learn how to change the prediction. So the prediction goes up. You start feeling stress in your body, you stop everything. Okay? Sit down, breathe for a second, and say, okay, what just happened? I'm not going to let this automatic thing happen again. I need to know consciously what's going on here right now. And when you stop, you can think, what was the thought or what was going on that brought that stress? So let's say you're thinking even, I don't have enough clients, okay? I come from the world of pet photography. As a pet photographer or a photographer in general, a thought that you can have, for example, is nobody will pay, I don't have enough clients, whatever it is, and then you start feeling stress. Now you think that you're feeling stress because of the story, nobody's going to pay. But that's not what you're feeling stress about. The story is just what's coming into your TV. That's just what's coming without any emotion. But that is going to come into your sorting computer and match up with another situation that you felt that something was not happening the way you would like it to happen. And what it would do, it would bring up a prediction now of your future saying you're never going to be valued. So you're not feeling bad because I'm not going to have, nobody wants to pay in my area. You're feeling bad because of the prediction of the future that Willow is bringing you, which is based on your past. So you're reliving your past. You're thinking she's predicting your future, that you're not going to be valued ever. And then you start feeling bad. So if you're sitting with yourself and you stopped everything, you can look at that prediction in the eye of no one will ever value my work, and you can start laughing. Why? Because it's nonsense. Because that's not what Willow also is trying to tell you. But besides that, even if it was, is it really true that no one will ever value your work? That's not true. So once you know that's not true, now it's time to bring your conscious mind in and bring a new prediction. And this is where conscious mind comes in. You need to bring at that same point that you stopped everything and you saw that the prediction is nonsense. This is where you can bring in your new prediction and say, there are many people in the world that value my work. There are many people in the world that value my work. There are many clients that have already paid me $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is. There's many people that love me. There's no chance that the prediction is that no one will ever love you. It's nonsense. But that is the prediction of the future that you felt in your past stories, and that's why Willow is bringing it back. So you need now to take that prediction and bring a counter prediction and start feeling it. Because what did we say? Chemicals are all about feeling. The chemicals that go into your body make you feel. So if you have the chemicals of stress going into your body, you'll feel stress. But if you start saying a counter prediction like, I am loved. People love me. Look, my daughter loves me. My parents love me. My siblings love me. I have neighbors that love me. And you start living that story, the chemistry that's going to go now into your body is going to be the green chemistry, the one of balance. And slowly, if you really stopped everything and you're able to understand what your prediction was, and you're able to bring in now the new story, this is what you're going to need to grow. This is the story that Willow is telling you, okay, forget about everything you did until now. Do. I have to run and, lower my prices. I need to do this. I have to find somebody that wants to talk to me now because I feel unloved. All those to-do things that we do just to get the dopamine spike of, I'm safe from the danger. Now you want to learn to balance yourself so you do not need to run away from anything that's making you feeling stressed, okay? So that new story is one that you want to start to grow. So when something happens, that's the number one thing you want to do. Stop everything. Go ahead and think with yourself. What was the prediction? That's the first thing. This is the hardest part for all my students. Just so you know, all my students, all my one-on-one coaching, this is the hardest part to do, to figure out what the prediction is, okay? Because we're so set to thinking that we're feeling bad because of the story, okay? We think we're feeling bad because oh, nobody will pay around here. But that's not why you're feeling bad. You're feeling bad because of the prediction of the future. That's how the brain works. Okay, this is neuroscience. So figure out the prediction, bring a counter prediction, start thinking about the counter prediction, and start feeling it. When you're feeling it, that's when you're actually beginning to grow it in the balance computer. So if you remember, I told you all stories are mirrored in both computers. So if you're now building something in the balance computer, what's going to happen is the story that's in the sorting computer, when it's not getting any more repetition like it used to, it's going to stop growing and at some point even go down in its power, in its strength. Okay, that's why I call it a mission balance. Your work is to balance out these computers. You don't have to get rid of the sorting computer. It's a must. It has to be there. There's always going to be things that you have to learn and grow and do differently. You just need to balance out the stories. I like thinking about a balance beam, like you're walking on a balance beam. If you're going to be in the sorting computer all the time, it's like being bam on one side and just trying to balance yourself all the time back, and you can't balance yourself because you keep talking those stories of the balance computer, of the sorting computer, sorry. If you want to walk forward and change your life, you're going to have to start talking the balance computer story and balance yourself out. Now, in order to walk forward on a balance beam, you never get rid of one of the sides. You have to have both of the sides, because you go a little bit to the sorting computer, come back to the balance. Sorting, balance. And only when you can balance yourself out, when you're walking high on a balance beam, that's when you can actually walk straight and go forward and create your future. Okay, so I said there are 3 things that you can do in your private garden to change. So the number 1 is catch of the day. Catch the moment that it happens and bring in your new story and start building it and feeling it. Number 2, get up in the morning, you're feeling good, have a morning routine. I'm going to talk about it a lot in the future. In that morning routine, bring that story in and grow it. Not because something bad happened, not because you're feeling stressed right now, but only because you are conscious that you need to grow this story now in order to let the other story basically fade out and this one grow. So if you're thinking of I am loved, if that's the story that you had to bring in, then every morning, I am loved. People love me. Look, there's a lot of people that love me around here. Because what you have to do, you have to gather a lot of information. Remember the puzzle? The brain will believe it when you get the puzzle together. Okay, so you have to gather a lot of information to show that the story, the new story that you want to build, is actually true. Okay? There's a saying that I like talking about a lot. It's called, I think I'll try to say it right. Faith and fear are both stories, imaginary stories, that ask us to believe in something we can't see. We choose. Okay? So if you're scared of something, if you have fear, it's a story in your brain. And if you have faith that something will work, it's still a story in your brain. They are both stories you can't see. You can choose. Perception of everything that happens in life is what's going to change your life. If you're able to change from looking at something and feeling bad to changing to look at it and feeling love, you don't have to be happy with everything that happens, okay? But you have to be able to look at it and say, okay, I am in a place of love. You can sometimes be grateful, you can be a lot of different feelings, okay? But this is the work that you're going to have to do most of your life. Something happens, you're going to have to change the perception. Something happens, you're going to have to change your perception. Okay, so we said number 1, catch it while something is happening, when you're already feeling stressed, when there's something active, and change it at the same time. Number 2, plant it in a time that you're feeling good. That's number 2. Number 3 is a hack to the system. And basically what number 3 is, it goes directly into the irrigation system. It basically is going to go not through any of these computers, and it's going to send that green chemistry of feeling good regardless to any kind of story. And what's that? Number 1, for example, these are examples, each one is something else, but for example, taking a walk in nature. If you love nature and you're able to walk in nature, obviously without the stories from the sorting computer, if you're able to walk in nature and feel wow and feel amazing and connect, that feeling is the green chemistry that's going to go into your body through your irrigation system. And that is what's going to charge your battery of balance. Okay? So the charging of the battery of balance is crucial here, because we said in order to be in the communal garden and do and live your meaning and purpose, you have to have also balanced battery full, or have some charge in it at least. Okay? So all these 3 things are going to be charging your battery. When you catch something that's happening and you bring in the green chemistry by changing to a balanced story, you're bringing in balance to your battery. When you're talking that story, thinking that story in the morning in a daily routine, you're bringing in that green chemistry. You're charging your battery of balance as well. And the hack that I just told you, that it goes directly into the irrigation system. And over there, it could be a walk in nature. It can be sitting for 10 minutes and just feeling grateful. Okay, so there's you can do a grateful 10 minutes. Again, the most important thing is to feel it, because I can say I'm grateful for my dogs, I'm grateful for my daughter, I'm grateful for the house that I live in, but I'm not feeling anything in my body. But I can take one of those and really, really think about it and feel it. And it's from the smallest things. It's like, I'm so grateful that we have water in the faucet. It's amazing. I mean, just 100 years ago, think it was something that only rich people or kings could have 150 years ago. We have a bathroom in the house. We have a house that keeps us, warm and keeps us cool when needed. We have air conditioning. We have this amazing bed now that you have a great mattress and you can sleep so well. I'm so grateful for all of these things that I have in my life. Now you have to feel it. And when you feel that chemistry, you're also charging your battery of balance. Okay? The 4th thing is already in the communal garden. And I'm going to, okay, so this is what we were talking about. 3 hacks that you can do with your conscious mind in a private garden, and then 1 in the communal garden. Now, the communal garden one is the one that's really interesting, because this has nothing to do with the private garden. It has nothing to do with the feelings that you have, the stories that you have. Everything that you built in the past has nothing to do with it right now. What it does now, it takes a new story and plants it in the communal garden. And that is what you are basically going to grow as your new future. So in the private garden, we're going to be, first of all, balancing out everything that we need to balance. That is where we learn. In the communal garden, we create our new future. Now, some of you probably have heard of what's called a vision board. I take it into what I call a day in the life. There is going to be a practice that you could do, which is a day in the life, that you really put a story together of your future. How many times have you sat and thought about your future and how amazing your future could be? And how many times have you sat and thought about your future and how bad it could be? Well, most of us don't even think about how amazing our future can be, because we're so connected to our sorting computer and how bad everything is, that we forget that we're the creators. We're the ones who can decide what our life is going to be like. So in the communal garden, the day in the life is an amazing thing. You can write up a story that's very emotional about everything that you want your life to be in the future. There is no there's no right and wrong, whatever you want. Now, if you can read that story and get emotional And I'm going to teach exactly how to do that in another video. But if you can read that story and become emotional and happy about, oh my God, this is exactly where I want to be, you can plant that story and you can grow it by repetition, right? Using RAM, repetition, doing it again and again, morning routine, evening routine, and feeling like it already happened. This is what's called the law of attraction. This is where all of that comes from. This is the fifth dimension. This is everything that you want for yourself can come in the communal garden. All you need to do is learn to become conscious. You need to come from love. You need to serve and inspire others. If you want a good relationship with your partner, it can only happen in the communal garden. So if you're feeling bad and you're having arguments and you're thinking about your partner in a way that makes you feel bad, you're in your private garden. And probably he or she are in the private garden as well. If you really want to meet, both of you are going to need to have charge in your battery of balance, and you're going to have to meet in the communal garden. I really hope that one day people are going to be able to tell each other as a couple, I really need to charge my battery so that we can meet in the communal garden, and then we can talk, and then I'm going to hug you, and then I'm going to love you. I'm just stuck for a second now in my private garden. I have to get out of there. And then you can meet and be in love and find the love and be together. And that's where you can actually be with other people. The thing is that even if you're a business and you're working in the communal garden, the communal garden is like what we call the wood wide web. Okay? Meaning in the woods or everywhere where we have any kind of trees and plants growing, they communicate with each other through the roots. It's known now that the root system is a communication system. It's just like the internet, but it's underground and it's for everything that's growing in the ground. And they communicate with each other. And that's what the communal garden is. You are able to do stuff for your business when you're in the communal garden, and you can attract and tell people that you need them to come and be with you, whether it's clients, whether it's suddenly you're like, oh, you have an idea, I have to go and talk to this person. Oh, I need to read this book. Oh, I just remember that person wrote to me and I have to write back and really get together with them. The connections, the real connections that are going to help you are in the communal garden. Sometimes we work so hard in the private garden thinking that we're going to get everything over there, but it's such hard work, and it's usually just with dopamine spikes, with little, places that we feel good, and that's not where we want to be. Okay, well, I'm going to end this talk right now with my last slide. And this is basically what everything is about. So as I started this also, in a world where fear spreads fast, love must spread faster. So all of this was in order for you to be able to really learn how you can love yourself, love your life, be in a place of love, and that will tilt the world to a place of love. You don't have to go out and do things. You have to go inside and change yourself. And only when you change yourself, it's going to help change the world. So I'm just going to remind you, you are love. All of you, everybody in this world, every human being, every animal, every tree, everything is love. We're all one. We're all a part of the same thing. We're all energy. If we go to quantum physics, you will know that every single thing in this world is just atoms. We're all the same. We're all a part of one big thing, which is together. We have become too separated from each other, and we have too many systems that say, I'm good, you're bad. And all of that will have to change as much as possible in order for us to tilt everything back to love. So remember, you are love. You're here to serve and inspire. And I'm so grateful and thankful that you were here with me.